greetings. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk with ZSJ. It's been a minute. It has been a minute since I've done a show. I've missed y'all. Hopefully, y'all have missed me, but I am really excited tonight. I have a very special guest, Greg Marcel Dixon, who is running for Congress out of South Carolina. Before he introduces himself, just want to do some housekeeping really quickly. So first of all, just want to let everybody know that there is storming by my house in the DMV area here. So hopefully everything will go by just fine, but just letting y'all know. Yep, see my phone going off. Anyway, yeah, so it's storming around here. So hopefully the internet and all that will hold up. We're gonna try to do about 45 minutes to an hour. But y'all come on in. Make sure y'all hit the thumbs up button while you're coming in and share. Make sure y'all share this. This is gonna be a very dynamic conversation tonight with our guest here tonight. So Greg, without further ado, please introduce yourself to my audience and welcome.
Thank you for having me, first of all. And it's some storming here too. And my connection is weak on a good day. So I just want to preface everything with that too.
Well, you look good and sound good right now.
Thank you. Greg Marcel Dixon, but I like to go by my middle name, Marcel. I've been a teacher for 17 years. Savannah, wow. Georgia born, but raised right across the bridge in Jasper County, South Carolina. In a small town named Ridgeland, where my family, my mother's family, and my father's family have lived for generations. So I'm Gullah Geechee, or sometimes we're called Sea Island Creoles. If you like things like shrimp and grits and tomato and okra stew or gumbo, that's our form of gumbo, then you know about Gullah Geechee cuisine. But,
all right.
I'm running for South Carolina's 6th U.S. Congressional District against incumbent James Clyburn, but it's more important what I'm running for, and that is for reparations for Black Americans who are descendants of American slaves. It's not the only thing on my platform, but that's the main thing, of which I'm very proud and very unapologetic.
Listen, I just have to say that I am excited that we have somebody Black in this country finally running for office, saying that they're unapologetically about Black folks. My heritage or my family is from Alabama on my matrilineal side, and on my patrilineal side, my father's family is from Virginia. So both of course, slaveholding states. But I have lived in Alabama and Ohio, and now I'm in the DC metropolitan region. And I can tell you, living in the South, living in the Midwest, and now in the Mid-Atlantic region where I am at now, I'm frustrated, just with Black politicians and with politics and Democrats specifically.
Yes,
it's very frustrated. And your campaign has just given me some energy because I was just like, oh my God, who is this brother right here? Because you are just so unapologetic. You don't care. You are like, listen, I'm running as a Democrat, but I don't believe in everything the Democrats believe in. This is what I believe in. This is what the people that I'm running in this district, this is what we believe in. So first of all, I just wanted to say how excited I am. And I do have your link in the in the description of this video for people to make a donation to your campaign, because James Clyburn. So let me give you a little bit history of why, how I came to know you. So my husband works with in Colbert. You may have heard of them, the National Coalitions for Blacks for Reparations in America. He is the co-chair of the Youth Commission. And some of the folks that he's working with had been trying to get in contact with James Clyburn. He's the damn whip. He's supposed to whip votes. That's his damn job. And he's Black, right? And you represent one of the poorest districts in the damn country. Could not get him to show up for reparations for Black people. And so I have just been disappointed in him just from that. And so when I saw that you were running against him, I said, well, thank goodness, right? Share a little bit more about just why I know you shared some already about why you're running, but tell us more about your district, the people of your district, and why it's important for you to run to represent them.
So my district is a majority Black district, 50 to 60%. You know, the census undercounts us, and a lot of Black Americans obviously do not respond to the census because of historical mistrust of the government. But it's 50 to 60% Black, it's 97% rural, and unfortunately, we are at the top of the line for some pretty uh, shocking statistics. Six poorest in the nation out of 435 districts total in the country. We're number 6 in poverty. For children, we're number 3, almost the poorest place, period, in the United States of America for a child to grow up. We have the highest level of toxicity in our water in the country. Okay, one town, Denmark, South Carolina, hasn't had clean water in over 10 years. They were putting an unattested, unapproved chemical in the water source of these majority Black older peoples, and nothing was being done about it. And now they're trying to tell the people that the water is fine, drink it, but they said that the people in Flint too, and we saw how that worked out. We have the worst health outcomes of any district in the U.S. More Black people here get their limbs, their arm and legs chopped off because of preventable health care reasons than any other community in the United States of America, because they don't have access to grocery stores. They have food deserts, and they don't have access to health care, whether it be clinics or it be hospitals. We have some of the lowest performing schools in the nation. There's a region of schools here called the Corridor of Shame that starts from the northern part of South Carolina off the I-95 corridor all the way down to the southern part, which is my district, the most southern part. And it refers to a majority Black rural districts where the poverty rate for Black Americans is over 80%. Now, the average poverty rate in America is 11%. You got in a lot of these districts, which my district is one of them, the poverty rate for Black Americans is over 80%. The rate of academic failure is as high as 80 to 90% of Black children not reading or doing math on grade level. And this has existed for decades, okay? We have the highest eviction rate in the country. So when you look at Clyburn's record, and if you look at the data of this district, Black Americans are the worst and most impacted by all of these negative things. For example, land theft. Gullah Geechee people, we are known for living by the coast, oceanfront property, riverfront property. Have had hundreds of thousands of acres of property stolen. Black Americans overall, 15 million of 60 million acres of property has been stolen from us. And you can look at Clyburn's legislative record, and you will see that he has not written a single piece of legislation specifically to address Black land theft. You can look at his record and see that he has not written a single piece of legislation to deal with the inequitable funding, at least of schools, to deal with the crises of homelessness among Black Americans who are descendants of American slavery, where 15 to 20% of the population, conservatively speaking, but we're over 55% of the homeless. And he had 30 years to address these things, and yet
I was just about to ask you, how long has he been there elected?
30 years, and he's the third most powerful Democrat, which he's been for quite a few years now. Now, he won't show up for your husband, because I know of in Cobra, and we don't necessarily always see eye to eye. They're more Pan-African in their view than way more Pan-African in their view than I. I'm more.
I am too. Listen, I'm Pan-African too, but I love you, brother.
Thank you. And but the fact that he won't show up in Cobra speaks volumes there, because he will show up though for illegal immigrants to get citizenship, even though it's been shown that immigration legal and illegal hurts Black Americans the most. When the higher level immigrants in the community, the higher our unemployment rate, the lower our wages, higher our incarceration rate, to lower our marriage rates, higher our poverty rate. Yet he's pushing for them to get citizenship. But it doesn't just stop there. He's also pushing for illegal immigrants to get resources and housing. We are the most homeless of any other group, over 55%. He's pushing for them to get jobs. Under Joe Biden's administration, everyone's unemployment has dropped except ours. Black American men's unemployment has actually increased drastically.
Yes,
he's pushed for them to
that's
get
all over the country.
healthcare.
Black men
Yes, it
unemployment
is.
is nuts.
He's pushing for them to get health care, yet Black American women are 5 times more likely to die giving birth to a child than white women. And Black American women are more likely to die giving birth to a child than a poor woman living in a country such as Mexico and the Philippines. But he's worried about illegal immigrants getting health care, getting jobs, and getting homes. So it's not just the fact that he does nothing for us specifically, it's that he's doing specific things for other groups. It's an insult to the highest degree. That statistic I told you about us losing 15 million acres of property.
I've been hearing about that, the Gullah Geechee land theft. I've been hearing about that over the years.
But it's throughout all of America. It's yes. A lot of not all of us, but a lot of us are in his district. But it's not just Gullah Geechee, Black Americans, period. Mississippi actually had the most land stolen from Black Americans. South Carolina is number 2. But he wrote a bill in November 2021 to give land to the Catawba Native Americans, a group of Native Americans that were enslavers. They were slave catchers. He wrote a bill to give them 20 acres of property so they can build a multi-million-dollar casino from which they will get billions of tax-exempt dollars they will be able to put into the pockets of their families and their tribe members. Meanwhile, Black Americans, we are almost landless in a nation we built. So it's not just that he hasn't done things for us, it's that he's doing things specifically for other groups that he should be doing, not just for his own constituents, but for people of his own lineage first. Every other group does that.
Listen, I hear you all the way on that. And I think it was particularly hurtful. I've not spent a lot of time in South Carolina. I have been through there on I-95 driving to Atlanta. And of course, you know, I see the poverty, you know,
it's
like other places and things like that. And I'm an activist as well. I work actually, and I want to talk about this at another time, but I work in education justice, specifically the school to prison, or preventing the school to prison pipeline for Black children. So when I found out you were a teacher, I was like, wow. You know, because Black male teachers are like less than 1% of the teachers in this country. So the fact that you're a teacher is absolutely amazing. And I think it's a blessing for those students. It's unfortunate they'll have to lose you to Congress, but it'll be better for everybody overall once you actually get to Congress. That we hope that we will, all of us around the country will hope that we will help you get to Congress. Speaking of that, I know your election is coming up on June 14th, right?
Yes. It's voting. Early voting has started. It started May 31st and it ends June 10th, but the actual election day is June 14th.
All right. That is, as they say, D-Day. Have you had an opportunity to look at any polling data? Have you looked at any of the early vote data to see where things stand?
None of it has been made available. You know, I'm running for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Right. So our races don't get a lot of attention. Now, if you're running for the Senate, they usually have an influx of pollsters and a lot of data and resources are devoted to that. But when you're running for the U.S. House, they treat it as an afterthought. The only data that I have is that 20,000 people as of 2 days ago had voted already. But that's not necessarily all in my district. It's just throughout South Carolina, period. I do know that several people have reached out to me and told me they've taken groups of people to vote for me. I know several people have told me in the grocery stores they voted for me. So you know what? One vote for me is a vote against the historical Black neglect that I have to be very honest, we have allowed to occur in this nation for decades.
That's right. That's right. Tell me a little bit about, I know that there's gerrymandering. Do they do gerrymandering with the districts down there in South Carolina? Because I know it's Republican. Yeah, I know it's a Republican state in terms of state politics. Is that right?
It is, but that's because the Democrats suck. Now, that's because they suck. If they were actually running the way a Democrat should, a Democrat,
you better tell the truth.
Every party puts the people who are their most loyal voters first. Black Americans vote for Democrats 95% of the time.
You
It
got
is
that
common political sense that you will say, I'm going to put the Black American needs first. I got to take care of the people that take care of me. They don't do that. Instead, they put illegal immigrants first. Instead of giving Black people policies that we've been begging for and demanding, affordable quality housing, good schools, good paying jobs, giving us our land back or compensation for our land, helping us get back to Black farming, reparations, doing something about police brutality, helping us get our Black communities back, helping us get our own Black
judicial system. Police accountability?
Right.
Doesn't even support police accountability,
no, he doesn't. He really doesn't. But instead of them doing policies for us, the only thing they seem to think Black Americans deserve is some voting rights, which was some.
That's the only thing they want to talk about.
They want us to come out and vote for them. And the only other thing they want us to do is to abort our children. That's the only thing they want Black people to do. Come out and vote and make sure you abort your Black babies. That ain't going to fly here. So I'm actually running the way a Democrat should run. And that's putting Black Americans first. Because without the Black American vote, Democrats would cease to exist. And don't think Republicans aren't noticing how furious Black voters are with the Democrats. And
tell me your thoughts on that.
There's going to be a Republican who's going to come along eventually, and Donald Trump was actually starting to do it. There's going to be a Republican who's going to notice that the Black Americans are furious with Democrats, and they're going to come along and start actually offering policies specifically for Black Americans, and they're going to start weaning Black American voters from the Democratic Party. And once that happens, the Democrats will cease to exist for centuries, if ever again.
Wow. And you know what? That's interesting that you say that, because I know you're on Twitter as much as I am. So you saw the debate on Twitter probably the last couple of days about the LA mayoral race, where these sisters are writing articles about Black men, specifically saying that Black men are not supporting Karen Bass, who is a Black woman. She's currently in Congress, part of the Congressional Black Caucus, and that Black men are supporting really a Republican, but the white man is a billionaire and he has switched to the Democratic Party. You know, they play games like that. Most Democrats are really Republicans anyway, if you ask me, just to be honest. A lot of them really are. Where I live is considered to be progressive, but of course, Black people are at the bottom of all the economic housing. It's just like, I don't want to say it's just like in South Carolina, because this is a very wealthy area. I live in suburban Washington, D.C., so there's a lot of money around here because it's the government and all that, and contractors and defense and, national health. Anyway, but Black people, when it comes to us, when it comes to who's owning homes, we're the least amount of people to own homes in this community. When it comes to homelessness, Black men, jobless, when you see people begging, it's Black folks. So it's similar in a lot of ways, but the whole state of Maryland is controlled by Democrats. The entire
state. And my thing is this. First of all, I hate when I bring up Clyburn's record of failure and the Democrats' record of failure for Black Americans. We've been voting for them since the 1960s, okay? Mm-hmm. That's 60 years ago, okay, for 60 years. Mm-hmm. And when I call out how, speaking of home ownership, we own less homes now than we did during the days of Jim Crow. Mm-hmm. We own only 1 million acres of property in a country we built. That has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of acres of property. I am glad if it's true that Black men are not supporting Karen Bass. She hasn't earned our support. Now, what is her these so-called Black women that want to write articles criticizing Black men that are not supporting her? I would write one question back in return. What has she done to earn the Black male vote? Hell, what has she done to earn the Black female vote? The first thing you're going to see on my website is my Black agenda. It's called A Better Deal for Black America. It's my reparations plan. I talk about direct descendants of American slaves, were legislatively called freemen, how we should get direct monetary payments. Same thing they did for the Japanese Americans who were thrown in the internment camp. Same thing they do for many Native American groups that are still receiving direct monetary payments. The same thing the U.S. in part made Germany do for Holocaust survivors. My great-grandfather's a World War II vet. The first thing the U.S. military did was made the Germans give the Holocaust survivors back their land. It's hypocritical for this country to have made another nation pay reparations to a group they wrong, and yet they not do reparations for the group they continue to wrong for centuries. So my better deal for Black America, direct monetary payments. I'm bringing back the Freedmen's Bureau, a whole department of the government that is going to serve the needs of Black America like they tried to do during the days immediately after slavery ended, where they was to make sure we was well fed, had good jobs, well housed, had land, had good health care, were protected. I'm going to bring them back to serve as a one-stop shop for all of our needs in regards to equity as Black American descendants of American slaves. I have us to get tax exemption status. So when we make money and it's federal income, it is not going to be taxed by the federal government. I have a plan for us to get business grants. I have a plan for us to get our land back so we can return to our communities, especially in our homeland, not the continent of Africa, but our homeland here in the United States of America, which is the American South, and also return our people to farming. Our ancestors never wanted to leave farming. They were forced off of farming because of anti-Blackness from the United States Department of Agriculture. I have a plan to make us a protected class, meaning if any hate crime is done against us, you are automatically going to get an enhanced sentence, which I hope will carry the death penalty in most cases. You are automatically going to be extremely liable to be sued. We are automatically going to be extremely liable to have any institution that was party to you committing a crime against us, just as a social media site where you plan a heinous act against us. And
like the Buffalo guy,
right? Happened in Buffalo, you will be able to be sued as well. So I have my better deal for Black America. I also want us to have our own freedmen schools alongside our own communities.
We do need our own schools. As an education justice advocate,
that's right.
I'm tired of fighting these white folks about doing right by our kids. Black people do need our own schools, and so I'm happy to hear you say that.
Yes, we do. Our own schools, our own curriculum, our own communities. We need to bring back our Black Wall Streets that, had they not been burnt to the ground or flooded because of anti-Black violence, New York City, Los Angeles will look like one stoplight towns compared to our Black Wall Streets. But they were burnt down, but that's okay.
They were burnt down, flooded, everything else.
Eminent domain to buy their land. Exactly.
So many people don't know our true history in this country and the violence. Not just the physical violence, the psychic violence, everything. And I have looked at your website, and it's very comprehensive. But it does bring this question, right? You have a lot of support from grassroots Black folks all across this country, including even Pan-Africanists like me, except for some of my Pan-African people are in the comments like, they're concerned about some of the things you're saying about.
I saw one of them, Mr. Untouchable.
Yeah, so about our immigrant family.
Seems like I touched him the wrong way, but he'll be all right. He'll be all right.
Listen, all Pan-Africanists mean is that, as African Americans, we recognize our ancestry. We recognize that our ancestry comes from Africa, and we recognize that Black people catch hell all across this world, no matter whether it's United States, Mexico, whether it's in the Caribbean, whether it's in South America, hell, whether it's on the continent itself. We still dealing with colonialism.
That's right.
So
here's my idea of Pan-Africanism.
We just unite around the issue of being African and unite around the issue of being Black. That's all I mean when I say I'm a Pan-African.
Of reparations.
I love all African people. But go
ahead.
My
thing is this. If we want to be Pan-African, the best form of Pan-Africanism is all of us who are victims of survivors, I should say, of colonization,
that's right,
slavery, and the ongoing anti-Blackness that happens. All of us should be rallying around reparations from our respective oppressors. You don't see people in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda getting mad at me because I am demanding that the American government pay reparations to Black Americans, the still American slaves. No, what are they doing? They are saying to Belgium, hey, Belgium, run us our checks. Y'all did brutal things to our people. You owe us. Now you got, I think now you start to hear about Nigeria, and is now talking about Britain owing them. You even got some of the Francophone countries in the United States of America, like Senegal, starting saying France, we don't want anything to do with y'all, but you owe us. You got Jamaica and Barbados saying to Britain, hey, y'all owe us reparations. That is the Pan-African movement that we need to see. Not all of this. That's just all where the Sheikies and
leave my dashiki alone, Marcel.
Right, but we need to make it actionable. We got to take action with Pan-Africanism. So Pan-Africanism for me is everyone demanding from all of the European colonial powers, United States of America, from their respective oppressor, restitution and reparation from the people that did them wrong. So yes, on my platform, I have a Black agenda. It's reparations, and I have other things on there too that are going to help Black people. But the point is, does Karen Bass have something like this on her website for Black people? If not, then she don't have
most Black politicians. Actually, none of them. I can't think of any of them. The ones that's running, the ones that's there, none of them have anything as comprehensive that speaks directly to the repair for Black America as you do. They just
don't. She don't need Black men support then. She don't deserve to get a support from a Black man. And these Black women got to ask themselves why they support her.
Here's the other thing, and I have to ask you this because I shared, where I've lived in this country. The time that I spent in Ohio, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but I lived in Dayton in my adult years. I finished high school there, went to college, had both of my babies there. I have 2 children, and met my husband there and got married and all that good stuff. So anyway, I spent over 20 years in the state of Ohio. As I mentioned, I'm an activist. I actually started off in the NAACP because my family, my aunt, was very, very connected in the Democratic Party there, very connected, as a Black woman. She's a part of, as you would say, in most of these cities, you have a Black elite. So she was connected to that because of her relationship with one of the first Black elected officials in the state of Ohio. And so I came up through the NAACP, being a part of the Democratic Party. And I was very, very much a Democrat, a strong Democrat in my early 20s and late teens, and worked in politics. But what I found out was that these people are just as racist and anti-Black as they claim the Republicans are. This is firsthand experience. I am not talking about something that I'm just sitting back looking at. This is what I experienced as a young woman working as an activist and working to get Black people out to vote. I will tell you, during the primary of 2016, the Democrats worked overtime to suppress the vote during the primary because they didn't want Bernie to win. They wanted Hillary to win. I saw that with my own eyes.
They're probably doing it now with me.
Exactly. And so my thing is that how is it that Black people are still so loyal to a party that is still operating on the political platform of benign neglect? Clearly, that's what they're operating on. Because when you look at cities like Dayton, when you look at cities like Detroit, when you look at cities like Cleveland, Black people are catching hell. Black people, talking about land theft, Black people are being pushed out by gentrification by Black Democratic mayors who have signed a deal with the damn developers.
Exactly. Let me tell you, the Democrats are more anti-Black than the Republicans. Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, people always want to get on me, asking me about Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham. What about Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham? Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham don't go around taking 90 to 95% of our votes and saying they're going to have our backs. And then the moment they get in office, they're selling us out for illegal immigrants. Or they're telling us, wait, we'll take care of you later. Let me take care of Asian Americans. Or wait, we'll take care of you later. Let me take care of Pacific Islanders. Or
they selling us out to more than them. They selling us out to the damn pharmaceutical companies.
And illegal immigrants. Don't ever leave out illegal immigrants. The Democrats are worse because they get our votes. I tell people, when I was on a show earlier today, Karen Hunter, I was going through all those statistics I mentioned. I say how Black Americans, we only have $24,000 in wealth. Okay.
Woo.
The average American family outside of Black Americans has $122,000 in wealth. I said how even we own 0.5% of the wealth at the end of slavery. Today, we're only at 2.6%. Illegal immigrants are outpacing us in wealth development. Our wealth is actually heading down. I had a Black man call in. You could hear the disgust in his voice. And guess what? I was disgusted right back with him. You could hear the disgust in his voice. Was he disgusted about the predicament of our people? No, he was disgusted that I had the audacity to be holding the Democrats accountable. So, of course, I let him have it. The reason why we are so loyal to them, because we have this stupid mentality of being loyal to a party. So he asked me, what am I doing on a local level to get more Democrats in office? I said, I ain't doing a damn thing to get more Democrats in office. I don't teach my kids, I don't teach my students to vote for Democrats. I teach my students to vote for what is best for them. So if it's a Democrat that comes with policies that's best for them, then you support the Democrat. But if it's a Republican that comes and the Republican has policies that's best for them, you vote for that Republican. That's what I'm teaching my kids to do. I'm not a loyal Democrat. I'm a loyal Black American who's loyal to my people. Some of us have forgotten that. When we were being hung from trees, we weren't being hung from trees because we were Democrats, okay? We weren't having our land stolen from us because we were Democrats. We weren't put on some damn plantations because we were Democrats. We weren't going through Jim Crow and redlining because we were Democrats. We weren't excluded from trillions of dollars from the GI Bill to the Homestead Act that gave white Americans hundreds of millions of free land because we were Democrats. We went through those things because we were Black. So I am going to think Black first. Some of us have forgotten that. I haven't. I'm here to remind us of that. Yeah. And whether like it or not, I'm doing it, and I'm going to continue to do it.
And you better continue to do it. How? Let me. So this is the other question that I have, because I really want you to get elected, and like I said, I've already made a donation. I plan on making another donation, and another. What has been the response from the political elite in South Carolina specifically? What has been the response from the Democratic Party in South Carolina? Have you been allowed to participate in events where you can have access to the voters and things like that? Have they played any type of political games? And because I know that this is the type of shit that they do in Ohio. This is why I'm asking you questions, because they'll play all kind of games to push out, a progressive or somebody that's coming to challenge an incumbent. And I've seen it with my own eyes. What types of things have you experienced during this race?
The same thing that you probably saw in Ohio. They don't host debates, okay, at all. They want to protect Clyburn, so the media's in his pocket. The state Democratic Party has been very nasty, has been very unprofessional. When I was trying to get the voter data to make phone calls, they sat there and stalled on that. And when I finally got it, there were technical difficulties. Then after those technical difficulties were resolved, when I was trying to get the phone vendors that I was going to use to make phone calls, they tried not to approve that. I gave them holy hell. When I request footage that should be for public viewing, they don't respond to emails from my communication directors. The chairman, Trav Robertson, has admitted that he's deliberately slowed down requests on my campaign's behalf.
Wow.
Okay. He's admitted that. They've ignored votes. They've ignored requests for data. Okay. They pretty much host events and endorse Clyburn instead of them being neutral and saying, we're going to let the voters decide who's the best candidate. We're going to give every candidate equal airtime. They give Clyburn all the airtime. They grab the microphone and they endorse him because they're sorry ass cowards. Sorry ass anti-Black cowards. They want Black votes.
The party chair is white.
Yes, he is, of course.
Oh, yeah.
They want Black votes, but they don't want to do policies for Black people. They want Black votes, but they don't want to hear from Black voters. So they've been disgusting. They've been awful.
Well, shit. The next question is: Are you trusting the process then with this vote?
I'm not. I'm not at all. And let me tell you, you better believe that if whatever the outcome may be, I'm going to be looking into the results, especially if they are not to my favor, because corruption is not just a Republican thing;
It's
it's a
not. I'm
Democrat
telling
thing
you.
too.
I'm telling you, it's not.
And
I
if
lived
they
in
think,
Ohio. Go ahead.
and if they think that they're gonna be doing some funny stuff, and they think I don't have the resources to get election lawyers and to get oversight done, they're dealing with the wrong person. I am exactly what they should have had here a long time ago to deal with these people.
Well, I hope that you're ready because that's probably exact. Clyburn is very powerful. He's done a lot of well, how do I say this? He's basically done a lot of bidding for a lot of billionaires, not just millionaires, and so it's
Exactly,
in
that's what
their
it is.
interest. It's
So
in
that's
their
why.
interest to have him in Congress.
Yes, it is, because he sucks up. He does their bidding. He doesn't do the bidding of his majority black constituents. And so what you have is you have these older black voters, mainly these older black men, but some of these older black women too, who think because he's their age and from their generation, and they still have this civil rights era mindset of a black face in a high place, looks good, and somehow that means progress for us. Because look, one of us is up there. But what good is one of us being up there if he's not doing anything for us? But see, some of them, he has done things for them. So because he's done things for
Right.
them, their
Fat black
attitude is
biscuits.
the hell with us. But that's not how it's supposed to work. It ain't supposed to be about what he's done for you. It's supposed to be about if what he's done for us has
That's
been
right.
enough.
As a
He's
collective.
done nothing for us.
As a collective. So yeah, so that's what I mean by like the black elite. I know how it works. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
they're pathetic. They're
Oh yeah.
pathetic. They are more. They care more about Clyburn than Black Americans heading to zero wealth. They care more about Clyburn than Black men having the shortest lives. And in recent years, years off of our life expectancy has dropped. And after Black men, Black women, they care more about Clyburn than the fact that COVID-19 wiped out 50% of all Black businesses, and there's been no action specifically taken to help increase Black businesses via government loans. Okay, they don't care about the fact that Black children ages 5 to 12 have the highest suicide rate within that age group.
Woo,
and the suicide rate over Black Americans overall has gone up. They don't care about the fact that we have the highest eviction rate. We are the most likely to not own a vehicle. They don't care about the fact that we own less homes now than we did during Jim Crow. They don't care about the fact that we're losing the little slither of land that we actually still own. They care about Clyburn. They're traitors to our race, and we should treat them as such. And I say that to them to their face.
Well, you absolutely should. You absolutely should.
Now,
but at least you have the grassroots. You, like I said, we're all wishing you well. In terms of the media, do you have any local media support? Because that's important. Any of the Black newspapers interviewed you?
South Carolina has lost probably about all of our Black newspapers, unfortunately. Clyburn has sat back and allowed it to happen. We've had one of our last, we've had one of the last Black-owned bank in Charleston just closed. The Jenkins Orphanage, which is a place where jazz started. People always think jazz is something in New Orleans, but jazz was starting right here in South Carolina on the coast too. It just closed, the Jenkins Orphanage, which is a historical, worldwide historical site. It helped lead to the creation of jazz, and it closed down. Clyburn's watch. Black newspapers wiped out. A lot of historic Black-owned institutions gone. And he has sat back and watched it happen. Our HBCUs in South Carolina State, his alum, of which he's an alum, is falling apart.
What?
Biden, you want to talk about Biden putting all this money in HBCUs? He put money in all colleges and universities, but HBCUs got the least amount of money. He gave more to these so-called Hispanic serving institutions than he did to historically Black college and universities, the people whose back he said he was going to have. And to answer your question, the local media is only now just starting to mention me. They're cowards too and sell out there in Clyburn's pocket. Now, all of a sudden, just a few days left, now all of a sudden they're reaching out to me for an interview. But when I would write them and say, hey, Dr. Addison is the other Democratic nominee, candidate. When I wrote them and said that Dr. Addison and I, we both made a vow to appear before any debate, but Clyburn has not. They didn't say one word about that. Some of them wrote all these little propaganda pieces about Clyburn, how amazing he's been. And when I started pulling out his record, they was like, we don't know if that is true. Hello, you're a goddamn reporter. Isn't it your job to fact check things? If I can do it and I'm not a reporter, it's your job. You see how pathetic they are? So
They are terrible. But see, the
no.
media are owned by these conglomerates.
Exactly.
You know,
Yes, they are.
the media has been bought up around this country by a lot of
Yes.
billionaires and millionaires. A lot of people don't know that.
No, well,
Washington Post now is owned by Jeff Bezos.
yeah, Jeff Bozo, as I call him. But so now pretty much the media, the people that have brought me to this point, to the end, has been the new black media. Y'all, thank God y'all exist, because people like me would never have a voice. No one would have known that I was here in this little swampy backwater coastal part of South Carolina, standing up for us and standing my ground. But now people do. No one would have known that there are many black Americans who are not in support of legal immigration, who are not in support of 20 million black babies being aborted, who are not in support of our guns being confiscated, who actually feel we need our guns to help keep ourselves protected. So thank goodness for the real black media.
Right, absolutely. I'm with you on the gun issue, because I can't support the taking of guns. I don't think that that's prudent. And obviously, because I grew up in Alabama, I grew up in a house where there were 7 guns, and my family was clear. They were hunters, but they also was ready to shoot a cracker anytime they got ready, because we had to be ready for that, because it's the South. You never know. You know what I mean? So you have to deal with those kind of things like that. So any final comments or final thoughts you want to share with the audience here? Because I know that the storm is picking up here, and I want to try to make sure that we can wrap up before anything, my internet clocks out here. Like I said, I have your link in the description of this video for people to go and make a donation. I want to encourage everybody that's listening here, if you support what you're here, if you like what you're hearing tonight, you don't have to live in South Carolina to give a donation. I've given a donation. I plan to give again. Please make sure you go to Marcel for Congress and donate so that we can help get this brother in Congress. Go ahead, Marcel.
Thank you. I would just say that, like I said, we have to be more demanding. We've built this nation, defended this nation, and all we've gotten is terrorism from this nation. And the moment we start making specific demands, we get told by this nation, by the Democrats, let's be honest, way more than the Republicans, by the Democrats who will not exist without us, that we don't deserve anything from this nation. We've gotten enough. That ain't flying with me. I'm here for us to get reparations. I am here pushing for deportations, because the higher the level of immigration in our communities, the worse off we are. But I'm also—
Let me ask you something. Is immigration impacting South Carolina now at this point?
Terribly. Well, we're going to have to talk about that on another episode. Terribly. Oh, yes.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
We're going to have to talk about that in a whole other episode. But I'm for us to get our own communities back. I know some of us are stuck on integration. Go ahead, have at it if you want it. I'm not. I'm glad Jim Crow has fallen. I'm glad redlining fell on paper at least. But I see nothing wrong with us having our own beautiful Black American communities back. So reparation will give us the resources we need to get back to those communities. Anyone that's against that, let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. They probably got some white boyfriend or some white girlfriend that they imagine they can't live without, and that's what they want to give up. That's for you. That's for you. But I'm here to repair Black America. I'm here to bring the return of a thriving Black America. The only reason every time we thrive, this country came and burnt it down. We're going to build it back up and make it fireproof. Okay, and if need be, waterproof,
fireproof. And you better have a military strategy to defend it.
Oh, definitely. That's why I'm pro Second Amendment for us, because we're gonna have our own, right? So thank you for having me, Susan Karen. Thank you.
I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about that at another time. We appreciate everybody coming in to check us out tonight. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and make sure you share it. Have a good evening, everyone. Take care.